people were accused as witches. They did not commit the act of witchcraft. They suffered a miscarriage of justice in being accused. Many of them were tortured by sleep deprivation or being stripped, and the witch picker would use their needles on them, put needles in them to see if they were witches, and then those that were executed were not given a burial and not allowed to, as they thought, spend eternal life with their family. So they suffered in a most terrible way, and I think it's really, really important, as Zoe does, that people know their history of Scotland and know the history of Scotland's women. And that's why on International Women's Day we're calling upon the Scottish Government to issue a formal apology to all those that were accused of witchcraft.
Yeah, and I believe there is precedent for that in other parts of the world. If you don't mind, can I just come back to that? Because, you know, when you were starting to speak there about some of the treatment that these women were subjected to, maybe I'll bring you in, Zoe, in this. Have you managed to get any of the sort of real human stories? Or, I mean, I know it's a long, long time ago, so perhaps that they're not accessible.
No, there are stories that are recorded, and there are a whole host of researchers working across Scotland and in fact the world. Scotland's Witches Project, internationally actually, historians, who have uncovered various stories, things like confessions, and I'm making air quotes around the word confessions there, where there's often quite detailed, quite sort of fantastical stories about what these women and men supposedly did with the devil. But there's also really interesting stuff that she followed. There's a researcher in Former College in Scotland, and what she says is follow the money. So if you look at the different accountancy issues that are left behind, how many candles were used to indicate who kept people awake for how long. So, you know, they were billed for things like that. There's bills for things like firewood and ropes and things like that. So that you can build a story. It doesn't seem, being told by historians, it wouldn't be particularly easy to prove your descendants from one of the accused witches because the records just aren't good enough. But there is certainly a good amount of information that's getting uncovered more and more about the real stories behind these people.
So this was persecution sort of led by the state, yeah?
Yes.
But presumably the communities within which these women and some men lived, once they identified, or this person was identified as a witch, presumably they would be very harsh, these communities.
Yeah, we talked about that quite a lot, with the idea that once whether you're found guilty or not, that would be your life really stigmatised. You know, people were sometimes, they weren't executed, but they were occasionally banished so that, you know, they didn't have to move away. And obviously in those days it wasn't an easy thing to move to the community and start again. So we think that, you know, once you were accused, that the community would turn against you and the blood would stick.
And Claire, is this just a legal thing for you? Or have you kind of developed a real connection, if you like, with these stories?
No, it started off as a legal thing before I started the campaign. I was interested in it from an academic perspective about how trials took place, about the expert witnesses that were called. But the more I became knowledgeable about it, the more I learned the stories of these people, the more I connected with the real life horror of what happened, and it became much more than just a legal exercise. Yes, I think it's very important that legally we put down some kind of marker to show the 21st century that we believe that what happened was a miscarriage of justice. But equally as important than that, I think that we should know the history of women in Scotland and find out what happened to them. So I think those parts are important.
Yeah, because of course in 100 years time from now, or 200 years, think about that, you know, that's when, well, we're writing history as we dream, don't we?
absolutely. In July 2021, the United Nations passed a historic resolution calling upon countries to address witchcraft accusations as a tool of persecutions in their relative countries and address this problem. Unfortunately, as with many other things, the pandemic has also exacerbated these problems.
So you're optimistic, are you, of this formal apology being made in Scotland? Presumably it would have to be the First Minister who would it be that would approve that, or?
Well, we're very, very hopeful. I mean, we asked in January that the Scottish Government consider an apology that's separate from the pardon that we've asked for. A pardon can only be given those who are convicted. And there were about 2,500 people that we know who were convicted and executed, but many more, about 4,000 accused. So we wanted everyone accused because they may have suffered terrible torture or stigmatisation. We wanted all those accused to be pardoned. We asked for that in January, and we are crossing our fingers today that is acknowledged.
And Zoe, would that then put this to rest for you, or has this stirred an interest that will be ongoing?
I think that we want to see out the rest of the campaign, which would be to have a state memorial. So we'd like to see that happen. But I think Claire and I, as dedicated, essentially lifelong feminists, it's just another thing that, that women we feel we need to fight for. And we've obviously not reached parity. We think this is a feminist issue, so we'll certainly keep campaigning, and we'll see what the next campaign will be after this one.
Well, listen, thank you very much. I feel, quite shameful, really, that I had no knowledge of this at all. And, I get notes through and you get a headline of something, and I thought, what is this all about? And it's absolutely fascinating. So thanks very much for spending the time to explain it to us, and I'll watch with interest to see how things develop. Claire Mitchell, QC, founder and campaigner of Witches of Scotland, and Zoe Venditozzi, who's a teacher, writer and campaigner.
On BBC Two.
How many of you out there has ever dreamt of being a rock star?
Music stars Martin Kemp and Lady Leisha. Mentor a group of rock wannabes with a difference.
The youngest of us is 65.
Rock till we drop.
Do you think your younger half?
I just finished the day yesterday.
9 to 9 on BBC Two and
Can I say I've been watching now? I watched the first episode, and it is really, really good. I really do recommend it. personal Google here. It's called 80295.
Got something to say? Text 80295. Standard message rates apply.
Mornings with Kay Adams on BBC Radio Scotland.
Or if you don't tell me, I bet Ken the engineer will at any second now. Come on, Ken, you can do it. Come on. Oh, Harry Chapin, he is venturing here. Chapin, yeah. Don't worry, folks, I haven't gone mad, but Ken can whisper in my ear if necessary, and that's what he's whispered in my ear. I don't know, is that right? I have no idea. I'm delighted to say before my time, and there's not a lot I can say that about these days, so I'm going to take the opportunity. Thank you very much. Right, before we talk to Fiona Thompson from Pets and Vets Glasgow, I'm going to give you another clue for naming the place, because I'm just kind of feeling that you're a bit stuck, because that was a tricky old clue. Clue number one, quite complicated. So let me give you clue number two. Don't know if it's going to help, but there you go. Clue number two, it refers to the same kind of feature as Yetso Muckert in Clackmannanshire. I used to love driving through Yetso Muckert with my mum and dad. We would just all shout Yetso Muckert for no good reason whatsoever. So clue number one is today's place name has something in common with West Kilbride in North Ayrshire, Tobermory on the Isle of Mull, and St Enoch Square in Glasgow. It refers to the same kind of feature as Yetso Muckert. That's how we used to